The floor is yours, Roman. Good evening, dear colleagues. Thank you for your introduction, Andrei. My name is Dushkin. I'm the Director for Science and Technology at the AI agency. Tonight, I wanted to make a provocative talk that'll be very different from everything that you've heard so far, and will be different from what's going to follow after me. I will be talking about artificial intelligence systems as subjects of law. Let's take a look at whether such artificial intellectual intelligence systems become subjects of law. What does it mean being the subject of law? There are two types of persons, physical persons and legal persons, that have certain rights, or any rights. And I personally believe that at one point, when artificial intelligent agents become autonomous and intelligent enough, we should start thinking about identifying them as the so-called technical persons. And there have been experiments along those lines, including in the European Union, and they suggested that the so-called digital person could be vested with certain responsibilities and rights. It hasn't led to anything because it doesn't really make sense to do that at this juncture, because the uses of AI remain quite narrow, and we cannot really talk about the future right now. But the future can come unexpectedly. And how can you become a subject of law? Speaking about law, you need to get certain rights, you need to get certain responsibilities, and you need to have certain accountability and responsibilities. And artificial systems will get their rights through norms, not as people in some legal systems, but as norms. We can provide intellectual systems or intelligent systems with certain rights. As for their responsibilities and obligations, they are identified quite easily. That is dependent on their functionality. Every artificial agent has a function that it performs, and therefore, based on that, it will be performing certain obligations. And as for the rest of it, it's getting more complicated there. Every time we talk about responsibility and accountability, we all talk about the problem with the tram. The previous talk was essentially about that. Thank you, Peter, for introducing the problem of the tram. And I will say now that the problem of the tram is quite different from that. It's not really important how a particular driverless car or tram do. In a particular case, it can just flip a coin and decide at random who to kill or who to let live. I am the proponent of humanism, and I believe that we as engineers who work with AI have to do our utmost in order to ensure that machines never has to face such a choice, to kill or not to kill. But the tram problem is about a different thing. It's about where the society needs to go. It's about the choice between killing 30,000 people on the road or 1,000 people on the road because of these unexpected instances and incidents. And that is where the problem of the tram is. And I think the decision has already been thought up. Now, let's talk about this decision that has been taken and what can be the liability of such artificial agents. I can see four types of liability. A machine can be switched off, reprogrammed, retrained, and penalized. If you turn it off, it's like a death penalty. It's gone. Reprogramming is like lobotomy. You've erased the personality, the body's there, but the personality is gone. Retraining is about zeroing out the memory, erasing the memory, and creating it anew. And then finally, it's a penalty. I believe that penalty is the most interesting topic we can discuss now, unlike what has been talked about by the previous speaker. I believe that it's the penalties that will be the liability that will be borne by these intelligent agents. Let's imagine for a second that intelligence systems will earn money. They are going to be autonomous. They will not belong to anyone. And let's take a driverless car that performs a publicly important task, being a means of transportation and earning money. It will need money to maintain itself, paying for electricity, for maintenance. The funds will also be used to pay to insurance companies so that they could cover then any accidents that driverless cars would get into, and they would also come into this universal basic income pool. As for other penalties, this is where we come to the issue of so-called technical ethics or technological ethics, something that we'll have to deal with quite soon, and we need to start it now. It's our ethics toward an artificial intelligence agent. If an autonomous agent is there and if it shows signs of intelligence, do we have the right to turn it off? As we ask ourselves whether we can kill another human being or whether capital punishment is possible. But if an agent like this performs a certain function, information security is one of the issues that needs to be addressed, and I believe that by the time such agents emerge, we will have created quantum protocols of communication that will deal with this issue. The second issue is physical security, and this is where you need to provide such artificial intelligence agents, endow them with the right to their body. And of course, the insides will be protected by the quantum logic, but the physical body will have to be protected by legal rules. And one of the key issues is the issue of explainability. As a human being needs to explain his actions when they have performed a felony or a misdemeanor, the system similarly would have to explain how it arrived at a certain decision. And that's where I believe we need to enhance our studies in the area of the hybrid paradigm and explainability of AI algorithms. But the future is unclear, and it will be dependent on us what these artificial agents will become. Will they become our children, or will they become our slaves? That's all I had. Thank you for your attention.